TuneIn.com, Ping.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio.
Join the sexual evolution and get ready for Sex is Medicine. Sex is Medicine is your #1 resource for holistic sex education. Explore the connection between sexuality and spirituality, pleasure and personal growth. Discover the art of using pleasure as medicine and reclaim your birthright to more joy, more pleasure, and more satisfaction in every area of your life with Devi Ward.
And you're live.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Sex is Medicine. I am your host, Miss Devi Ward Erickson, and I am so happy that you are here with us this evening. We have a wonderful show for you. And just as a reminder, I broadcast here on CTR Network live the first Thursday of every month at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if you're not able to catch us live, you can catch me on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, all kinds of wonderful places. You can find out more at DavyWardTantra.com. Just click on the podcast menu option and you will get all of the details right there. This evening, I am just thrilled, as I usually am when I get to talk to these amazing guests that we bring on. I am absolutely thrilled to be speaking with Kazembe Abena about Synergetic Bdsm and, in general, the whole topic of BDSM. And I'm really excited to talk about this because there's a lot of misconceptions about what BDSM is, what it isn't. 50 Shades of Grey has created a lot of misconceptions or instigated a lot of misconceptions about what BDSM is. And some people have never heard about it at all. So we're going to peel back the veil, peel back some of the layers surrounding this wonderful art form, this sensual art form, and dig in a little bit deeper and find out if this modality can also be used as a form of medicine. So there's many experts in the field of BDSM, and they all have a different orientation to it. And the reason I wanted to share Kazembe with all of you amazing, wonderful people out there is because I was really touched by Kazembe's approach to the art of BDSM. So I met Kazembe a couple years ago, right after I was married, actually, in December 2016 at the Art of Sacred Sexuality retreat in Atlanta, Georgia. And I was fortunate enough to spend time with many fabulous educators there. And I was able to witness a session that Kazembe gave, performed, shared with us at the retreat. And I was touched again. I'm going to use that word again. I was very touched by the orientation of healing that he brought to this. That was something that was very unique. It was something that I hadn't seen before in regards to this type of erotic play. The injection, the orientation of healing and consciousness and awareness and Tantra, quite frankly. So I wanted to bring Kazembe on to share his special sauce, his unique viewpoint on the art of sacred, sensual BDSM. So welcome, Kazembe. Thank you so much for sitting through that very long-winded introduction and joining us for our show this evening.
Thank you so much. I'll be happy to share. And I first want to say, Davey, I've admired your work for many years, and you gained a lot of respect in the industry and in all sorts of circles. So thank you so much for having me on the show. It's truly an honor. So thank you so much. Let me first say that. Thank you for having me. And it was great to see what you do. So I'm originally from Portland, Oregon, and I had basically, I guess I've been exploring, before I started formal training, I had been exploring metaphysics and holistic health probably 15 to 20 years. And then I had kind of dabbled in terms of BDSM for several years as well. I grew up on the West Coast, so for me, that means that my aesthetic palette was pretty varied. Mm-hmm. I grew up listening to industrial music, along with soul and hip hop, and then new wave and all these sorts of things. So I just took an interest in some different things. So, ironically, I think my first introduction to BDSM was an offshoot kind of the goth culture, which was an offshoot of New Wave back in the 80s and 90s. But I didn't really engage it until later on. When I went to LA. I lived in LA for about 14 years, and there I pursued a career in acting and also a personal trainer, etc. And you're either doing one or the other, or you're a writer, So it's interesting in LA. But and for me, and I should say that this happened after I acquired a degree in psychology here in Atlanta, where I came back to in 2010. So basically, it was high school in Portland, in Atlanta to go to college, to LA to study acting and start to develop BDSM, and then back to Atlanta in 2010.
So, talking about, I will pick up where I had left off previously in doing some research about BDSM before the show, and my initial introduction to BDSM, which, again, I'm going to reiterate, came from watching the movie Quills when I was like a teenager, and Marquis de Sade. And then later, there's another really amazing movie called The Secretary, which is about dominance and submission. Just an extremely erotic film for those of you who have watched it. And some people say it's like the original 50 Shades of Grey and the actual, like, the for real 50 Shades of Grey. And so, there's a variety of different orientations to BDSM. There's a variety of different, obviously practitioners. Or do we have you back here, Kazembe?
I'm back again. Back again.
Amen.
All right. So when did you lose me?
Around the time that you were, I'm not sure actually, because I started talking about BDSM in general again, so I'm not sure. So why don't we just dive in case we lose you again? We want to make sure that people that we're able to get through all the content that we want to get through. So
sounds good.
The origins of BDSM, and that's kind of what I was talking about right before you came back. So where does it come from originally? So you mentioned that, it was kind of like this offshoot of Gothism, but it's older than that, isn't it?
Oh, it's way, way older. It's thousands of years old. You find elements of biting and slapping in various forms of the hand positions and to various parts of the body in the Kama Sutra. In Mesopotamia and Greece, there were various forms of flagellation or whipping to self and others. And it's interesting because when you look at the history of BDSM, in those ancient cultures, it was coupled with adoration of deity worship.
Yes.
So which is very interesting to me. Of course, in many of those old societies, there was simply no separation between the secular and the spiritual. It was all one. So kind of interesting there. So that's kind of how, even in Christianity, particularly in England, when you're talking about the Dark Ages, in medieval times, you had a lot of self-flagellators. You had a lot of whipping and beating, and it was almost like to deny the flesh or kind of embody the pain that Christ went through. So I'm going to beat myself to show my devotion to the religion. So you really find it all over the world in various forms.
So Kazembe was talking about the Kama Sutra, and that's a point that I very much wanted to make this evening, because I did some study of the Kama Sutra many years ago, and that was something that very much struck me about the Kama Sutra, is how freaking kinky it is. Like, the Kama Sutra is kinky as hell, isn't it?
It is. It really is. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart, for the faint of heart. You really, it's about really drinking in and taking in the entire carnal experience and all that it has to offer. It's really about, it's like, listen, this we need to use our bodies to reach those states. It's everything. You're going to find it in there.
And one of the things, so we did these Kama Sutra session evenings where we would go through the 8 different types of hugging and biting and kissing. And there were 8 different kinds of, I think, marking or striking. And they were like gnarly, like we didn't want to do them because they were so intense. I was like, I can't believe these ancient Indian folk were like nailing scrotums to boards and shit. I was like, there's no way.
Oh, man. It's amazing. I mean, and now, of course, and it's funny, you know, of course, there was a lot more leeway back then. I don't think you had lawyers and attorneys and things like that, and particularly in regard to women. And that's something that you see in the writings, some of those writings where basically, you know, men felt that they could do whatever they wanted to with women. So that obviously is not a high point in our history of humanity. But the thing that I love about BDSM now is that the more that it branches out and the more that it develops more consciousness and a more healing perspective, the more it can be used to, you know, nurture and heal. So you have a lot of respect. It may have not started out that way in terms of regard and respect, but now something that is commonly said is if you're doing BDSM right, you're making sure that it's safe, sane, and consensual. And that's something that, to be honest, makes me proud of even being engaging in BDSM now, because I know that people that, for the most part, now, of course, nothing is 100%. You have bad businessmen, you have bad doctors, etc. But the art in and of itself is neutral. And I think that nowadays people, for the most part, enter it and they really are trying to do the right thing. They're not all 50 shades of gray. So, and when you are in a space that is about consent and is about integrity and is about connection and truth and honor, it can really be a beautiful experience.
So I want to share, though, that is the unique piece that I witnessed you bringing to the art. So not to say that you know you're the only one, or that it you know I haven't seen it before, but different communities have different flavors, right? And so one of the things that I was struck by in some of the other communities that I kind of floated in and just observed is, again, there was a glorification and an enjoyment of the pain, and that's wonderful for those who are into it. And there wasn't an orientation to healing, though. It wasn't about the truth and the glory and the rightness. So I really want to point that out to you, that your headspace about it really makes what you do specifically very unique, and it makes it stand out to me as a practitioner because of my orientation to sexuality and to using pleasure as medicine. And so, you know, I think one of the misconceptions about BDSM is that it is all about pain. So what do you say to that?
I say that, first of all, thank you for your comments, Devi. And, you know, let me answer that in a couple ways. Number one,
And we seem to have dropped Kazembe again from the show, and I do apologize for that. Are you back again?
I'm back.
Okay,
I'm back.
Great.
All right.
I'm trying to find out what's going on behind the scenes here. I'm frantically texting away and trying to find out.
I don't know if it's my end or not, and if it is, my deepest apologies. But so I think that those people that are about pain in it.
Yeah, we seem to have a bit of a challenging connection. I'm going to suggest that we go to commercial break for a few moments and see if we can work out these technical issues. I do apologize, but I'm very, very interested in hearing what Kazembe has to say, and I'm sure that all of you are too. So let's go to a quick commercial break, and we will be right back and get all these little goblins figured out.
Hey there, this is...
Hey
there.
Not sure why he's dropping out, but yeah, you're dropping out a lot. Is there a number that I can just call you at?
Sure, you can call me at 310.
Hang on a second.
310 922 8357.
8357. Okay, I'm going to call you right back. Just go ahead and hang up Skype.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right.
Cameron, I'm going to change my internet connection real quickly to go on the one that's downstairs.
Well, you're not dropping off.
I'm not dropping
off. You're not.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not dropping off. It's him.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I think it's me.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead and hang up your Skype, Kazamba.
Okay. Boom.
There you go. Now I'll call him up. Boom. Right, we're gonna. Okay, he's here, and we're going live. Yep, stand by, and you're going to go live.
Tantra.com right now to learn more.
Hey, and we are back, and we've got Kazembe on the phone instead of Skype. You there, Kazembe?
I'm here, and hopefully I'll be here more permanently.
Yay! Because and I just everything that you're saying is so rich, and then it's almost like having an orgasm, and then the guy ejaculates too quickly, and then you never get your orgasm. Luckily, though, you keep coming back, so
I keep coming back. This turnaround time is killer. I'm telling you.
So we make it our information orgasm shortly.
That's right. He's got his short incubation period. He's right back on. All right. So you asked me, Davey, about the pain aspect of it, and the thing that I like about, again, alternative cultures, subcultures, whatever term you want to use, fringe, whatever, is that it's about acceptance.
Yes.
So if someone wants to, if they really are about pain, they're about receiving pleasure from pain, then do that. But again, I would suggest making sure that it is safe, sane, and consensual. There's a way to play and do various things and it still be safe, sane, and consensual. And who am I to say, well, you can't do that. For instance, now people have come to me and they say, well, I see with your method, it's about healing and connection, but, can you train me how to do that? And then can I put in some, cock and ball torture? And I said, well, no, that's not what I do. Mm-hmm. You can go to other people that do that, but that's not what I do. And so, as you were saying earlier, Davey, I think it's really great that everyone can find their place.
Yes.
They can find their place and their space and therefore their authenticity and just be that. Just be that.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel blessed to have found.
Yeah, and I just want to point out, I love what you said about one of the beautiful qualities of subcultures, of which BDSM is this attitude and this orientation to acceptance and allowance, for the most part, of just, letting people, I heard someone say, don't yuck someone else's yum. Like, don't yuck their yum. So just letting people, play and play and explore their sexuality in whatever way works best for them.
Absolutely. And what you find is that when you allow yourself to truly, truly be free, and of course we all have a certain level of deconditioning to do, and it's odd where you think that you're free, but as you become an adult, you realize that you're doing things based on what your parents told you to do, and you have become either your mother and your father or both, or whomever raised you. And so, however, when we can kind of decondition ourselves, and, we keep the things we want, we discard the things we don't want. I find it beautiful to see people really structuring and forming their lives based on who they are and what they want. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing to see, because in those moments, you get to see, as far as I'm concerned, an aspect of God. You get to see an aspect of the Creator, you know. And I just love to see it. I love to see people do them. You know, you hear the phrase sometimes, you know, okay, well, just do you. Well, if you do you, I love to see people do you. Do it. Mm-hmm. Do it. What are you going to do? What are you going to come up with in this, you know, this skeleton of BDSM? What are you going to bring to it that only you can bring? So with me, I found that intimacy was very important. Sensual touch was very important. Connection was very important because that's just the type of person that I am. And I have pretty strong sexual energy. So that's just how I am. I remember I was doing a scene with a woman one time, and she had played a little bit, and we started. And again, nothing, you know, no groping, nothing out of the ordinary, out of what we had said. But we just started. She said, wait a minute, whoa, okay. She said, wait, I got to step back on it. She said, this is a lot more intimate than I thought it was going to be. I'm just not used to this. And I said, well, yeah. I said, that's how I play. That's what I do. And again, there was nothing, no tongue down the throat. I don't kiss on the mouth and things like that with this. But there's a way to be intimate with your energy. There's a way to be vulnerable and connect. And I just don't think that people do that enough in life, period. So I wanted to bring that to the art.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. So well put. So, I was feeling into, like, you know, what makes this practice sacred for you? Like, what is that piece of that either you bring to it, or what happens during a scene that's like a portal into the divine?
Great question, Devi. I think it starts with the connection.
Yeah.
And it starts with, you know, going slow, and just with my method, we start with a Tantra embrace. We start with a Tantra hug, and we and it all goes from there. And because I say, listen, if you don't start anything the right way, there's no telling where the ship is going to go. So you have to start the right way, and you start slowly. You start slowly so that you can allow the trappings of the day to fall off, so that you can share breath, you can be in the moment, you can give and receive, and you just connect, and you find that it's just you and that other person there. I know when I first started to do this on stage, I was a little concerned initially because I said, well, you know, this is such an intimate act. I don't know how it's going to transfer, how it's going to read on stage to a room full of people. And I had this one exhibition to do, and the producers came up and they said, okay, they said, you know, well, listen, now this crowd is tough. You know, they won't stay quiet. And I said, oh, well, you know, I said, I think I got it. I said, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. I think I got it. She said, well, just keep your thing to about 5 or 10 minutes. I said, well, I kind of can't. I said, that's like a quarter of it. I kind of can't. I got to give it at least 20, 30 minutes. And he was really, really nervous, or they were. And I said, you know what? I think I got it. So I did it, and silence. And he said, you know what? We have never experienced the crowd being that silent for a performance before, ever. He said, I can't believe it. And when people came up to me afterwards and said, I felt the energy, I couldn't believe it, this and that. And it just told me that there's so much power in the connection between two people. You know, we're so used to breads and circuses and fireworks and all this stuff, which is fine. There's a time for that, and I love it. But we miss the intimate, powerful moments of connection between two people, two souls, two spirits. We tend to miss that. And so we're just passing on to the next. So it's not a question of breadth. It's a question of depth in that moment. And what you end up experiencing is the beauty of the person. And we said there, you know, several things that I'll probably talk about in a minute here. When you ask me, Devi, I don't want to jump too far ahead. But one of the things I do is I set an intention for the scene. And based on that intention, I will have a goal, or there are things that I need to do to forward that intention with the energy. Mm-hmm. One of the things I love to hear is someone come to me and say, I'm a little uncertain and unsure of myself, and I've been hiding. I love to hear that, because we can bust through all sorts of blockages and barriers with this, because this is shadow work. So I love to hear that, because then my goal is for us to co-create the authentic and powerful them, to empower them, and to just foster them in a way, nurture them in a way where they are showing themselves fearlessly. And particularly women who claim that they are frigid, or who are shy about their bodies, or shy about this, or shy about that. I love to hear that too, because at the end, it's beautiful to see them accept themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
and yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but I was just going to say that it sounds like you were describing a healing session. That's what you're describing, with the mindfulness, the setting the attention, the focus on the breath, which is a meditation, and then moving into it again with this intention of transformation. So you say that when people come to you, so what kind of people do you find are attracted to this particular modality? People who, I tend to deal with a couple of people not a couple of people, but I tend to deal with actually a couple types of people. So the first are people who are more familiar with the healing community and healing methods, and they're looking for a breakthrough. So they're having a tough time with self-acceptance. They've experienced some trauma. Things like that. And then I also have dealt with people that just have been in BDSM a little bit, and they're a bit bored. They want to have a different experience. So both of those can really, I love working with both of those types of people. It's great because, I tell them, I say, listen, it's not about how many tools you have. If you want to have something, it is BDSM. You want to have something. But it's again, it's not about broad, it's about deep. And when you start talking about doing things energetically, there's no end to that. Right. There's just no end. Okay, so I'm going to pause you there. I wanted to ask you, because this is really sticking out for me. So you mentioned that one type of people that shows up on your doorstep are people who are into BDSM and they're kind of bored, and so they're looking for something different. So what is it that you provide that's different?
Definitely the energetic piece, yes. A deeper connection from the energy, and also setting an intention, and also removing blockages.
Okay.
And also just the way that I start, not shying away from the intimacy at all. I remember there was one session I had, and I told the woman, and we talked about parameters and everything like that before, of course. And basically, she wanted me to. She was ashamed and afraid of her sexuality. And so we discussed what sort of words and things I could use before. You always want to do that. So during the session, I told her, I said, I want all of your whore, I want all of your slut, I want all of your bad girl, I want it to come out. I want it because I love it. That's what I want. Bring it out. Bring it out. Do not be afraid. Bring it out. And the way you imprint the energy with an intention can serve that purpose to bring it out. So there's always a specific intention in these sessions, and really it's an interplay between the intention, impact play, sensual touch, and energetic cultivation and stimulation. Those are the four things that make it different than your typical BDSM session. Okay. The interplay between those four things.
Beautiful. So you coined or you created a specific style of BDSM, which you called Synergetic Bdsm. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
That
okay.
That is correct. That is correct. And synergetic is S-E-N because it's a mixture of two words, sensual and energetic.
Yes.
Not to be confused with S-Y-N, which is synergetic, things working in tandem with each other. It's not that. It's synergetic. So it's a made-up word.
It's an awesome word. And so the core of that are those four qualities that you just described, the interplay of those four aspects.
That's right. That is correct. That is correct. And, you know, other, not to say that other types of BDSM doesn't include some of those things. They certainly do. But this is really the cornerstone of what I provide. Every time you have a synergetic BDSM session, you will be experiencing those four concepts.
Yeah, and you will be, you're signing up for a healing session, so it's not just I want to be tied up in the dungeon because I want a kinky experience. It's people are coming to you because they want to transform something in their lives. They want to move through a block. They want to experience opening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I tell them, I say, listen, you can do that here, and you can do that in a space where being aroused is welcome, and titillation is a part of it, and spanking is a part of it, and if you want, choking is a part of it, and all this is a part of it. You know, so and I tell people it's a bit of a fast track because it's shadow work, so you're facing things that you otherwise may not want to face in this moment. But again, it's safe, sane, and consensual. We have agreed on everything that's going to happen. It's just that, of course, in the session, you don't know when, and you don't know how much, and you may not know how either. But there's been an agreement beforehand, which I absolutely adhere to.
Mm-hmm. That's got to be so important. I know for me in my life, being with a male partner who unequivocally and immediately respects my boundary, my no, and just immediately like hands off is so profound and so like unexpected. Like, yeah, you know, it's as a you know cisgender woman, I'm used to like no, please stop, no, and so I have this experience with this gentleman, and you know, and I was actually surprised. It was like, oh, you know, no or stop, and he like took his hands off and just like stepped. I was like, wow.
Yeah, right, absolutely. Good on him. You know, I mean, I can't tell you, and that's where the healing comes from. I've had many women say, you know, I haven't been in that space where I was completely vulnerable, because in my sessions, I required the woman or the man to come topless, thong, and high heels. They're not going to come like that. They're going to come dressed a little bit different, but
no, I think they should wear high heels too. we're embracing the shadow. The shadow of painful arches from wearing high heels.
Right, exactly, right. But they say that being in that vulnerable position and then still getting that respect, and then things happening exactly the way they said they wanted them to happen, is what then gives them the empowerment afterwards. So they may be afraid before they're in it. Of course, there's arousal and titillation from fear, but also from sensual touch. And they go through it and they say, well, you know what? I asked for this. I asked for this session. I made the decision on what I wanted and did not want. I got through it. I faced my fears, and I'm okay. Yeah. And it was even fun. Mm-hmm. And that's where the empowerment comes from. That's where the empowerment comes from. I did it. I did it because I steered the ship. I told him what to do and what not to do, and he obeyed my commands.
Ah, yes. So even in the position, you know, because so BDSM stands for bondage and discipline, and domination, and a bunch of other things, depending on where you. Sadomasochism, and so that whole interplay of the dominance and submission. So it appears as though you, as the dom, and that's the role that it sounds like you play in the scene, is you as the dom, and then the receiver as the sub, and yet they are experiencing dominance in their own way by steering the ship.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. And anyone who is playing with integrity knows that. Yeah. I mean, any dom, any dame, any master, you just know that. You know that if you're having the proper conversation before to lay out the parameters of the scene and the guidelines and this and that, some people have contracts and all these sorts of things, you know that if you do it properly, that, you know, that ultimately the sub, because the sub is allowing you, they are allowing you to take control in that moment. Mm-hmm. They have allowed it, which is what empowers, because they have allowed it. Whereas, as you know, of course, Devi, with trauma, one of the things about it was that it was taken. There was no permission given. It was taken.
Yes, there was no choice. And so in these scenarios, the
Exactly.
receiver, the sub, chooses to be in an extremely vulnerable position,
Absolutely.
and then has complete control of the car, of the steering wheel, so to speak, by knowing that through their communication, their ability to verbally communicate what they want and what they need in that moment.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's going to be
Choice,
so
right.
empowering.
Choice is the term.
Yeah, choice is a term. So empowering for abuse survivors, I would imagine, because that's just so resonating with me, because the choice was taken. And usually, they're one of the centers of wounding is the throat, is the voice, in that, the survivor,
absolutely.
the survivor wasn't able to speak up for their needs in that moment and be heard, or it was disregarded, or they weren't allowed to speak, right? So this has got to be huge for people really reclaiming their voice.
Huge. That's right. And to that degree, to that end, there are various types of play and stimulation that you can do with the chakras through the body and other reflexology points on the body, and it just becomes an incredible experience. Now, of course, it is always open. It always comes down to how open the sub is, how open that person is. Some people are more open than others. It is what it is. But you get with someone who's open and there's a connection, and it could be a heyday. And even if it doesn't happen the first time, that's okay. There's something to work toward. Again, you're dealing with energy and spirit, so it's so deep. You can go so deep. So just take the journey, take the ride, and explore with each other. And allow yourself to develop trust and vulnerability on both sides.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, complete and total healing doesn't happen in one session, right? It's multifaceted and multi-layered, and so it's a journey. Right. When we choose to step on the path of healing, we're not done. There's no done. It's an ongoing evolution.
Indeed, not at all.
So I want you to walk me through a session, but before we do that, I want to touch upon a little detail here. So, is this legal? So, if I were going to come to you for a session, would I need to sign any paperwork? Is it legal to say, hey, can you bend me over the chair and spank me, or tie me up with ropes? It seems like you can get into some kind of scary territory there.
Right. Yes, it is. It is legal. However, you still need to, you will be signing papers with me and things like that, so that there's consent given. But it is legal. It is legal. However, most of us in the kink community, BDSM communities, we just keep it a bit hush-hush, because you just want to, you want to screen who comes to you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to accept it. You can't accept everyone that comes to you, because sometimes their intentions are not about safe, sane, and consensual. They're about something else.
Yeah.
So you need to be careful. So you have to be smart. And listen, this is quote unquote fringe work. And this is shadow work, and you need to protect yourself as a practitioner just as much as the client needs to protect themselves. The practitioner does as well.
Yes, absolutely. So in general, I mean, coming to you as a healing practitioner, it's legal, and then out and about in the world, if there's parties and that sort of thing, my experience has been that just like with any subculture, including Tantra, and if it has to do with sex, it's usually frowned upon.
Exactly. And you and I know you know that all too well. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So technically it's legal, but just protect yourself as both a practitioner and a recipient. Make sure that the contracts are clear, the agreements, it sounds like, are clear. And I'm just hearing over and over again how important communication is.
Yes, and that is talking about the benefits and the mental state of those that do this sort of play or work. One of the things that it gives you is honesty and communication. Yeah. I would never do a scene with someone who can't tell me what they want, and who can't say yes or no. There's no way in the world. Now, we can sit there and I have to do some other sort of work on you to get you to that space where you're
to get you to accept your voice. But that could be very dangerous. That could be very dangerous. Where you can't say anything, you know. And I just sat up there and talked myself out of what I was going to say. What was your question, Davey?
Well, I will move into my next question. I was mentioning how important communication was, but where I want to flow now is I would love for you. Okay, so I'm going to be your pretend client, and we're going to do a session. So what can I expect walking into your office? What kind of things am I going to see? What am I going to hear? What am I going to smell? What am I going to taste? Like, what am I going to do?
All right. Welcome to Lord Vesper. All right, in my domain. Okay, so basically, I like low dim light candles. Enough where you can see each other, of course. And I like the music, and I love creating the space, creating the ambiance. So the music I like is groups like, you know, old school trip hop, Massive Attack, Lulu Rouge, things like that. I like things like that. So you'll hear that. You hear that playing in the background, and we're going to sit down. We're going to have a conversation. When you first have come, I'm going to ask you to change into your boy shorts or thong and high heels and put on a robe, and we're going to sit and we're going to talk, because that's where it starts. The sensuality and the sexuality starts with the conversation. And you're going to tell me what you want. You know, what do you want? Why are you here? And we will have had some of this conversation before, because I have to vet you before then. But we're just going to revisit it again. And, you know, we're going to talk about the safe word. We're going to talk about where, and you're going to let me know where you want to and do not want to be touched. I'm going to let you know that this is not a sex session, so there'll be no orifices penetrated. I'm going to let you know that you are in a safe space, that if anything is uncomfortable at any time, you can say no and it will stop. So then we're going to get into the work. We're going to stand up, and we're going to do the Tantra embrace. And a lot of people, sometimes I have to spend some time on this to get people to relax. You know how people breathe, Davey. You know how they breathe. They're breathing from their chest and not from the diaphragm. They're not relaxed. They're in the heightened state of fight or flight. So that's the first thing, to get them to breathe. The breath is everything. You know that as a Tantra practitioner. So we've got to get them to breathing in a relaxed state, and just make sure that they're present. I also let them know that, you know, I would let you know, David, that, you know, you don't need to do anything other than just be. Just be, allow, and let go. Be, allow, and let go. So we embrace, and I've got a blindfold on you. Then I'm going to go to certain hand positions to start to send energy. And I'm going to do that for a while in various places in the body. Then I'll probably tie your hands, your wrists rather. And then I will start with sensual touch. And then I will start with some impact play. And then I'm going to...
I'm going to pause you right there, because I don't know what impact play is. What is impact play?
All right, impact play, very good. I kind of did throw that out there, didn't I? So impact play is basically... it is hitting the body with a flogger, with a paddle, with her hand, whatever. So that's impact play. Impact. So impact on the body, on the flesh. So hitting the body. I'd like to start out with my hand. I love to use my hand because I can actually feel what I'm hitting, and it's easy to go from a hit to then a caress with your hand. So your hand can become both a point of sensuality, sensual touch, and also an impact tool. So I love to hear. I start with hand, and I always start light. You always want to start light, because what you find is if you start light, you can really over time increase the intensity if you so desire.
Yes.
I remember one woman I was hitting so hard. I mean, she was like, you know, she wanted it harder. I'm like, man, I'm going to have to get a tool because my hand is about to bust. You know,
it's building up some endurance there.
You know, exactly. It's been a few years since I've done Iron Palm, so let me go ahead and get this paddle here, because, man, I'm about to break a hand. So, but, if you ramp it up slowly, and you're really playing between, you're really going between sensual touch, impact play, and energy cultivation. And what I've been told by several subs is that when they have played with me and received that, they realize that they don't even need to be hit that hard, because their bodies are already lit up from the energy. Mm-hmm. So that's just what I've been told. So I said, okay, great. So we do this. So we really do that, and that is where the dance is. That's where the dance is. That's also where you can really get creative. You do a move, you do a hit, a slap, you do something, and you notice that they have a certain reaction to it, so you do it more. And you can just really say, okay, oh, they like this, or they like to get hit there. Oh, they like, oh, that energetic point is really sensitive. Okay, so that's when exploration starts. And with that, though, you're still, in my mind, as the Dom, I still have the intention. So one thing I forgot to mention was, in that initial conversation, we also establish the intention that you may have, Davey, as well. And I will have you state that intention in the beginning before we start, so that we'll both be on one accord. So you have two people focusing on that intention throughout the entire scene. It's happened too many times for me to say that it doesn't work. It works. You really, it's amazing. It's amazing how energy works, and thought and sound is energy. Of course, it's all energy. So when you direct and focus on an intention, and you have two or more people focusing on that same intention, it is amazing what happens. It is amazing what happens.
Yeah, it sounds like a form of prayer.
Yeah, it really kind of is. That there's, of course, I'm sure you've heard of subspace, and that is basically, of course, just for the audience, where the top is literally in space. It's almost like an out-of-body experience. So that's where the sub is. The top has to, or the Dom has to, be aware if that sub is in that space, because if they're in that space, they can't talk.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you can be hitting them looking for a reaction, and they won't give you a reaction because they're not really there. So you have to be aware. But there's also something called flow, and it's for top. It's top space. So we get so connected to the sub and so in tune that we get lost as well. Yeah. Not in the same way as the sub, but we just get caught up in the moment. So it's so many places you can go. So once we've done that, and I've had plenty of women have orgasms during the Synergetic Bdsm session, and of course that is with no genital stimulation. It's just energetic. They've had orgasms, several, and then we come down and we have aftercare. Aftercare is really important, and it's basically bringing the sub and the top back down into this space, into this room. As you know, if we do a healing session, you don't just say, okay, great, jump off the table, bye, I'll see you later.
Bye.
You want to bring them down. Protect them, you want to ground them, right? So it's the same concept. So typically what I do is I cuddle afterwards, drink something with the sub. We may have, if they feel like talking, we may have a recap afterwards, what worked, what didn't. So because it's also a learning session as well, particularly if it's the first time. This worked, this didn't. Okay, I won't do that next time. I'll make sure I do that instead. And you just bring you start with love. You start with an embrace, and you end with love. You end with an embrace. Same thing.
That's so beautiful and juicy, and it sounds, like I said, it sounds like a prayer, and yeah, it's a transcendent experience. And so it sounds like, at least your approach to this practice, it sounds like another tool for exactly that, another tool, another method to reach a certain state of transcendent consciousness and openness. and healing. So we're getting close to the end here, so I want to make sure that everybody knows how to get a hold of you, where they can find you, and where they can work with you. So give us all your details.
All right. So you can find me on Facebook. I'm in a private group, Lord Vesper. That's Lord, V as in Victor, ES, P as in Paul, ER, Lord Vesper. Vesper basically means a star that comes alive at night. It shines at night, and also it's Vespers, which are prayers said in Catholicism at night as well. But either one. So Lord Vesper on Facebook. You have to ask to join the group. It's a closed group. Or you can email me at Lord Vesper, again, LordVesper22 @gmail.com. LordVesper22 @gmail.com. I had a website up that I think may have been on some of the information. It's down at the moment. So I will let folks know when it's back up. Technical issues, I don't know what's going on with it. But for now, Lord Vesper. And also I am also on Facebook as Kazembe. So if you forget Lord Vesper, you can reach me there. Kazembe with Cazembe, last name Abena, Abena, Kazembe Abena.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. And we're also going to be sending out a blog post with the replay of this episode, and we'll have all of your most current contact information there as well. So you can also find him at authentictantra.com and just check the blog post for this upcoming Saturday, April 7th, and you will find all of the pertinent information there. I want to thank you so much for joining us, Kazembe. I wish we had much more time, and so that means we're going to have you back in the near future to dive in a little bit deeper. It's been so enriching talking with you. I could talk forever. And thank you, everyone, for listening and joining us this evening. Much apologies for those technical issues, and that sometimes happens when you are broadcasting live. That is the world of technology. Once again, you can catch us live every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific not every Thursday. I apologize. The first Thursday of every month at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on CTR Network. And in between shows, you can always get a hold of me at authentictantra.com, daviewardtantra.com, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you so much once again. Thank you, Kazembe. And you all have a beautiful evening.
Thank you, Davey.
Yes.
I forgot to tell folks about my deal for your listeners. Should I tell them real quick?
Yes, real quick.
Okay. All right. So I am doing a deal for everyone who listens to this podcast, $195 for a Synergetic Bdsm session for a single person. Regularly, it's $295. So please let me know if you're interested in that, and we will get you done. We'll take care of you.
And we'll put that info on our blog as well. Y'all have a beautiful night. Have a beautiful month. And I will see you next month, the first Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. Peace out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David.
Yay, we made it.
We made it. Oh, man. I'm sorry. I almost forgot that.